Hey guys, Gus69 from at Open Mind Brazil, bringing to you another contest entry. This time to support Chris Profi, the Musically Obsessed channel. Everybody knows Chris. I think 6 months ago I did an entry for his 1000 milestone, and here I am again to support him because he's a very valuable member of this community, and he's doing this for no particular reason, just to as a thank you for the community. So kudos for you, Chris. You're awesome, you know that. So for this contest we have to answer 5 questions and show some albums. For the first question, show something from 74. I think is the birthday year of Chris. So I decided to go with The Journey to the Center of the Earth by Rick Wakeman. I think is the 3rd solo album by Rick Wakeman. Right before he left Yes, the band Yes. This one is a conceptual album recorded live with the London Symphony Orchestra. I love this. It's like a gigantic piece, 40 minutes piece, divided by 4 parts, but it's very good. There is a narrator. It's based on the Jules Verne book, the same name, so very cool stuff if you like progressive rock, of course. And I decided to show for the same year, but towards the end, Yes released Relayer, not with Ricky Wakeman, but with Patrick Moraz, the keyboard player that was the replaced Rick. So a very good album, and this is the first one, and I think the only one so far that I have on vinyl. So I decided to show both because they were released on the same year that Chris was born. So for the second question we have to show something from 88, when Chris start digging into music around his 14 years old, his teen age. Again, I'm gonna show 2 albums because they are related, and I couldn't show one without showing the other one. And the first one is something that I got recently. It's kind of grail to me. I had back in the day, and I finally managed to buy this again. Dragon's Kiss by Mark Friedman, debut solo album by this great guitar player. Everybody knows from Megadeth fame, but this was way before. He had a band before this going solo, which was Cacophony, where he played with Jason Becker, another excellent guitar player. But on this solo album he does everything, plus Dean Castronovo on drums. I love his drumming, great drummer. So I love this album, awesome album, and I'm very glad to have this back on my collection. And another, this was released on Shrapnel Records, a label that released a lot of these kind of instrumental virtuoso guitar players. And this is another one that I have from the same year, self-titled solo album, also the debut by Greg Howe, another amazing guitar player, but he has much more swing, jazz influences than any other from the Shrapnel label era. He was different, and I love much more bluesy at times, but again, all instrumental, heavy at times, but amazing stuff. Greg Howe. So 2 albums from the Shrapnel Records. I love that label, and basically all the artists that they put out, I love them all. Next question, third, 3 important albums for any reason. So another one that I bought recently, I had to show this one because I love this. This was my first album that I listened from this band. I'm talking about Restless and Wild by Accept, a German heavy metal band. This was the first album released here in Brazil back in the day, but it's the 3rd studio album by them, but the first one. And I never owned it on any media. I had like a friend had on vinyl, and I recorded on tape, and I listened to to trash that one. Amazing album. I love this. Who can forget probably the first power metal song ever, Fast as a Shark. They, with this song, they put the like the double bass, the speed, everything that formed that genre is on this track. Fast as a Shark, great stuff. I love this album. I love this band since then, and it's a new acquisition on my collection, and I decided to show because this is very important to me as a metalhead. My basis, this was released in '82, but probably I heard this a couple years later when I really started listening to heavy metal, and I loved. So, yeah, and I love to this day. So my first pick, Restless and Wild by Accept. From '84, I just mentioned '84 was a very important year for me, and I tried to show an album that I never, maybe Scotty Waters showed this one. I don't see many people showing. Maybe Cloudy Milder have. I know that he has their second album. I don't know if he has this one. I'm talking about Chariot with the album The Warrior, another debut. This is a British band, and this is important to me, not just to me, but to all the heavy metal scene here in Brazil, because this, we had a record store in the center of São Paulo called Woodstock Discos, and this was their first release when they became a label. So it's very iconic. I remember buying this back in the day. This is a new acquisition because I sold everything back then, but amazing stuff. New wave of British heavy metal. I say amazing, but it's very simple, but simple and good. Everything, all those songs are good. They are not excellent musicians, but what they do very good. I don't have another word. For me, this was also responsible to make me aware of bands that are not on the top of lists or selling well, things like that. I start listening to bands that nobody knew about, and this was one of them, because even though was released here in Brazil, nobody knew about them, and I bought like on the dark without knowing, and I loved, and I have to do more this, discovering more music like this without everybody talking about. If they released an album, maybe good, let's try that. So that's why this is so important to me, because Woodstock Discos became, I think they released almost 100 albums. I don't know exactly how many, but many bands they released here in Brazil, like all the German bands, Destruction, Sodom, Tankard, what else? British bands also, many obscure bands they released here, Celtic Frost, for instance. Anyway, they were very important for the heavy metal here in Brazil, and this was their very first release. So let me show you the label. It's very iconic too. So Woodstock. So that's Chariot. And listen this after so many years, and still sounds very good. Again, very simple music wise, but I like it. And finally, from '86, another recent acquisition, a band from Brazil, and it's the debut album, Golpe de Estado. It's in, their name is in Portuguese, but it means, I need to check that. Yeah, it's coup, like a state coup, when people united wanted to carry out a coup against the president or the government. So it's a golpe de Estado. It's the name in Portuguese. And why this is so important to me? Because back in the day, my very first band, we recorded a demo, we started playing small gigs, and the bass player who played on my band was taking classes with their bass player, Nelson. And one day we was going to rehearse, and Roberto, my friend who played bass in my band, came with the news that we were gonna open a gig for them, and we did. I think was the very first big event that band had, and of course I had back in the day, and they were kind of they were an underground hard rock band, but they had a lot of followers. All their concerts were packed. So, and we played in a big like a big venue for like 3,000, 4,000 people there. And we had the pleasure to open this gig for this band, and they became a great band here in Brazil, releasing many albums. I think they have 6 or 7 studio albums, and this is their very first one, so I pretty much love their stuff. Basically until the 90s, because after that the singer left the band and they reformed. It was lost that magic that has had in the beginning. But anyway, this is an important album to me, important album to the rock scene here in Brazil, and I managed to get a pristine copy to my collection, so very happy with that. Golpe de Estado. So for the last 2 questions, I don't have to show anything, because the 4th question is to show in and outer protective sleeves that I use. So as I just showed, I bought these used, and I use like a thick glossy outer sleeve on all my records. I think it's 20 microns. Sometimes I buy the 10 microns, but I prefer the thicker one like this. I don't like the matte sleeves. I like when it's like this, like pristine, like new. I like this. And for the inner, no brands, regular sleeves. I don't have those fancy, expensive sleeves. Maybe one day when I had money for that, but for me, when I buy used, I put new like this, and on all my records I put this. No brands. I buy in the online, like pack 50, sometimes 100, and there is no brand. So for the very last question, how long you are in the VC? So I had to check that. My very first VC video I uploaded in February 2019. So 2.5 years doing videos in English. I hope to have improved over since my very first video. Everybody knows I have another channel where I speak Portuguese, my language, but I decided I needed to practice my English, and it has been a great adventure. I apologize, my bad pronunciation, my lack of vocabulary, but as you all know, I'm trying to improve. So that's my entry, Chris. I hope you liked this one, and I hope more people support you, even though I don't think you need I need more, but you are doing fine. You are a great guy, and I love your finding videos, and you are very supportive to everyone else in the community. So again, kudos to you, and I see you guys soon with another contest entry that I need to do for another great VC member. So check that out very, very soon. So thank you for watching, and bye bye.